Developing at the Alert Center, Nebraska lawmakers are divided over the future of medical marijuana, and there are two bills at the center of contention. Happening this morning, Nebraska Secretary of State Bob Evnen is set to speak with the media regarding Legislative Bill 927. It comes ahead of a public hearing for the bill. You can see some of that flickering still kind of going on there. That's what they've been working at all morning. This week, Nebraska senators are continuing their debate on a new bill that would restrict weapons at the state capitol. Legislative Bill 1237 originally sought to prohibit all weapons in the state building. However, an amendment makes an exception for concealed carry permit holders. They can bring their firearms inside the building. President Donald Trump is pleased with a major change at the Department of Homeland Security. Now, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem announced all officers on the ground in Minneapolis will now be issued body cameras. For their final week, their instructor is letting them run an obstacle course on their own, putting the skills they learned to the test. Central Nebraska School District canceled all of its classes today after nearly 30% of its students called in sick. Shelby Rising City Public Schools made the announcement on Wednesday that 113 of their students were absent. Now, the district didn't name any illness or any symptoms that the students were experiencing, but they did say that it typically takes several days or even up to a week for them to fully recover. Attorney Brian Davis have been working at since Lavetta was convicted and sentenced to manslaughter. She shot and killed her husband in 2020 after she said she endured years of abuse. Following the hearing, a long-awaited call to Langdon.
This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Hello.
Hey, Mom. Nebraska tax incentive programs are under fire. State Auditor Mike Foley alleges $1.2 billion in lost revenue over the past 4 years. Hurricane Melissa has officially made landfall in Cuba around 3:10 this morning as a Category 3 storm. Now, we learned from officials this morning that the storm surge on the southeast coast could reach up to 12 feet. Officials say heavy rain in the mountains could trigger flooding, and also there are landslide risks there as well. For the layoff was listed as poor performance, and at the end of 2024, she received one of the highest ratings an FDA employee can receive in a performance review.
I have no disciplinary actions, no negative anything on my record. So no, it was a complete surprise.
Nielsen, who worked remotely for the FDA at her home in Wood River, was one of hundreds of laid-off FDA employees during the Trump administration's attempt to shrink the federal workforce.
But what's actually happening is a marring of people's reputations, inaccurate look into their actual performance, and a misunderstanding of what the mission of the federal agency actually is.
We've got an update about the 70 cats that were removed from a Lincoln home. We're learning from Capitol Humane Society officials that that number has risen to 92 live cats and also 2 deceased cats. Now, here's some good news. The original groups of cats tested negative for feline leukemia and FIV, but most had fleas and air mites and are being treated. About half have upper respiratory infections, which is basically a cat cold, which vets say is common in stressful and unvaccinated environments. Now, the harder part is that 7 of those cats are going to need eye removal surgery, and about 2/3 of those cats are going to need dental work. The Humane Society says that the cats are in fairly good conditions considering the situation. Right now, some are already being spayed and neutered, and a few could be up for adoptions as soon as Friday.
Justice will be served before I die for Gregory Little.
Gregory Little's family says they were called to the Lancaster County Courthouse today for an update to the case. Chanel-Taylar, Little's sister, says during the conference they were shown the security camera footage of the shooting. She says after watching it, they were told the Lancaster County Attorney's Office would not be moving forward in pressing charges to the security guard who fired 4 shots towards Little, hitting him 3 times.
He's a murderer, and he needs to be in jail.
The joint release stated that under Nebraska law, deadly force is justifiable if the security guard believed it was necessary to protect himself against death or bodily harm. Governor Pillino expressed confidence in Makovica, stating he will serve the university's best interests. Now, after his NFL career with the Arizona Cardinals, he became president of Macavicka Physical Therapy, which has several locations around town. At the Alert Center, Chanel-Taylar McCarthy.